All right. Hey, welcome. We're live with Senior Portrait Secrets Live. This is week two of our or I guess week two of the first time doing our new show here live on Facebook. And we got some really cool stuff. We got Jennifer Dworek out of Pennsylvania, and she is a successful senior portrait photographer, just making a great living, a great income, great portraits, great studio. I mean, just couldn't resist having her on the show. So she's got some really cool stuff coming up. So anyways, I'm live here actually in Hawaii at a conference, so it's pretty amazing. And we've got Shane Hunter live in the great town of Huntsville, Alabama. So what's up, Shane?
What is going on, Josh? I have to say that I'm not very happy with you right now because I waited and waited for my invite to Hawaii and it never came. So,
oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. All right. I probably will be able to forgive you at some point. But anyway, I'm excited about today. It's going to be good. And hopefully you can, I don't think there's going to be any lag with you in Hawaii. It must be some pretty good connections there. So.
Sorry, you caught me taking a drink. Yeah, I'm excited for this though.
That's good. Yeah, I'm excited to talk to Jennifer Dworek later. For now, though, I'm going to go ahead and continue my talk on off-camera flash. Last week we covered some super prerequisite basics, and so now I'm going to kind of build on that, maybe go a little bit more in depth as we continue this talk on off-camera flash. So I'm going to share my screen here, and as we talked about last week, off-camera flash, anytime you bring that in, what you want to do is control the light, all available light that you have. You want to control it, bring the ambient down to what you want, and then balance it out with the light, the flash that you have on your subject. So just to give you an example, I found it. This is 2 or 3 years old, but this is the scene. This is basically ambient light as taken with my cell phone camera. And as you can see, we've got the subject there. Her name is Mackenzie, so Mackenzie's ready to go. We've got 2 lights set up, and then the background is all blown out. So you can see that it's ready for sunset, but it's not very pretty. So when we bring in the lights, use the camera to bring the ambient light down with obviously with ISO, shutter speed, aperture. You get that the way you want it, and then you have the lights for the subject. And obviously this is before I edited out my little camera stand thing there, but that's okay. But there's nothing in this photoshopped. So there's no color, hue, nothing. This is how the sky looked in the camera. And obviously before I brought the flash in, if I had taken the picture, everything but the sky would have been completely black. Mackenzie would have been, the gate, the fence would have been, the sidewalk, everything. So we bring the backlighting. As you can see from the flash stand here, it's right over there. And there it is. And then we have just a beauty dish with a sock at camera left. And then you just meter for the subject. So you're basically taking 2 exposures. Your camera is taking exposure for the background, the ambient light. So before I did anything with the flash, I just dialed in the correct exposure with my camera, took a test shot, or sometimes some cameras have a live preview. So whatever you see on the back of your LCD or LED screen is what you're going to get when you take the picture. So you can kind of cheat that way, which is awesome. And then once you get the sky and the background looking the way you want it to look, then you meter for the subject. And so you can use a flash meter. You can do it by feel. Once you've done it for a few years or several repetitions, you can start to kind of figure out based on what you know about your lights where to set them. So and that's probably how I did this back then. So let's look at a different picture here. This was more recent. This was about a month, almost a month and a half ago that I took this picture of Kelsey here. Same thing. Now I've upgraded lights since then, and we'll talk about that a little later today. But again, meter for the subject after you have figured out what you want your exposure to be for the sky or whatever background you have. And available light, another word for that is as ambient, another word for that is natural. It's all kind of the same as it pertains to off-camera flash anyway. So the camera settings here, as you can see, pretty normal stuff. The lowest ISO I could get, then f-stop and shutter speed. Honestly, you don't really care about shutter speed so much because, I'm sorry, you don't care about shutter speed or your aperture settings, just so it looks good in the camera. It doesn't really have anything to do with your subject. That is all exposed with your strobe. So if your ambient light is under control, the shutter speed is virtually irrelevant to the exposure of your subject. So if you, with this scene, for example, this was taken right after the sun went below the horizon. If I were to adjust my shutter speed, all it would do is brighten and darken the sky behind her. It wouldn't do anything to the exposure on Kelsey, because that is all flash. So just if you think about the flash duration, which the flash duration is the amount of time your flash is actually happening. If you think about the flash duration as your shutter speed, that is all happening between your actual shutter speed. So to demonstrate, what we're talking about is sync speed. The sync speed is the amount of time the flash has to fire between the opening and closing of your camera's shutter curtains. So I've got this is pretty jacked up, but you're going to see this is kind of a simulation of your camera's shutter. So it opens and it closes. This is very slow compared to what 1/160th of a second would be. But while that shutter is open, your flash is firing, your camera sensor is taking in all that information. But the flash firing is actually what is exposing or creating the exposure on Kelsey here. So that's that. Let's leave that slide now. So the amount of time that your curtain is open, that your sensor is exposed to the scene outside the lens, your flash fires, and everything comes together. So most cameras, the sync speed is either 1/200th of a second or 1/250th of a second. It just depends on your camera. Some are less than that, I believe, but most 95% of all DSLRs, your sync speed is going to be in that range. So now there are a few different ways that you can, different light sources that you can use. We'll go over this really quickly and wrap this up. Speed lights, there's lots of great. Joe McNally comes to mind. He basically has made his name using speed lights to do magazine quality work, and he's incredible. So you can look him up and compliment him. The pros of speed lights, they're small and portable and inexpensive relatively, and they're lightweight. And they most of them do have, or many of them do have the capability of HSS, which is high speed sync or hyper speed sync. And that's a little bit more in depth, and we can go into that more, but it does allow you to go above that 1/200th of a second sync speed that your camera may have. Some of the cons, speed lights have a lower output of light, slower recycle time, and they require line of sight between your camera. If you're doing off camera, then there's got to be some kind of communication between your camera and the flash. And most of the time these days we want wireless. So there's a sensor on the side of the speed light that your camera has to see. So you're kind of limited in that way. It's a little irritating. You can upgrade to a budget strobe. One of the most popular on the market is this one that you're seeing now, and it's the Paul C. Buff Alien B, and I use these for years, and they do great. You can do great things with them. Some of the pros that you see here: portable, inexpensive. They are faster recycled than speed lights, stronger output than speed lights, and then you can get higher quality light modifiers. And we'll talk about light modifiers probably next week. Some of the cons is they don't have any built-in triggers. They're not capable of high-speed sync, and they don't have batteries built in. So you have to have an outside power source. if you really want to spend some money, if you love to spend money and it makes you happy to spend money, then you want to go for something like this. This is what Josh and I both use. This is a Profoto B1. There are others that are comparable that are also really good. This is probably the Cadillac, as it were. And I'll say that because we use it. That's why I say that. But as you can see, the pros are many. High-speed sync is automatic. You don't have to do anything special. You just use whatever shutter speed you want, and your flash will sync up to your camera. They're portable. They have a built-in battery that's rechargeable. You can see it's detached on this picture. Built-in radio trigger. That means radio trigger means it uses radio waves, which means it can go through walls. Your camera and your flash can talk through barriers. Quick burst mode. Up to I think 10 or 11 flashes per second. This can do shorter flash duration. It's got the fastest recycle time of the three that we've talked about. Strong light output as well as a high to low output range. So not only is it really strong, but it can also give you, if you need less power, it can give you a lower power output than either a speed light or the Alien B strobe. Maybe not a speed light, but definitely it's got a lower output than the Alien B's on that low end. So you've got versatility. The cons, they're pretty heavy and they're pretty expensive. So that's kind of an introduction to your light sources and maybe a recap on some things we talked about last week. But hope that was helpful. And if you have any questions on that, feel free to contact me or Josh. Both of us use these lights and pretty good experience with them, so we can help you out. But we'll go ahead and bring in our guest for today. And what we have is Jennifer Dworek, as Josh mentioned earlier, from Erie, Pennsylvania. And we're so excited to have her here. And Jennifer, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
What's up, Jennifer?
So, Jennifer, why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about yourself and your business, how long you've been a photographer and what styles you do and that kind of thing.
Sure. Well, like you said earlier, I am located in Erie, Pennsylvania. I am a portrait photographer, so I specialize in senior portraits, teens, and women. And I've been doing this for, like I said, about 7 years. This is my second career, and I was drawn to this. The universe guided me here. I used to be a nurse, so long way from the medical field, but absolutely my purpose, and I just love everything about it.
That's awesome. So, Shane, I'll take it unless you got a question.
Go ahead.
Cool. So you Erie, PA, portrait photographer. What is like your main thing you love to photograph the most?
Well, like any photographer, I mean, when I first started, I was dabbling in everything, and I quickly found a connection with teenagers. So I kind of, decided that was really going to be my niche. I absolutely working with teenagers, not only because they're fun to work with, but because I feel like I am helping them in, especially this day and age with social media. I'm helping them find their self again, find their confidence, and just kind of boost their overall self-love for themselves. So that's my specialty.
Awesome. Yeah, Shane's got a couple of the portraits up right now, and they're incredible. So hey, Shane, go down one more. Tell us a little bit about this portrait right here. What's the story behind this?
So with my senior models, we do concept shoots as well as with my younger line, which I'll talk about in a little bit. This was a Halloween promo shoot that I did with my makeup artist. I was lucky to find an amazing girl who actually is from New York City, and she moved to my small town. I've been working with her for about 6 months, and she approached me to do some promo pictures for her. So I quickly, anytime we do any kind of custom shoots, I go to my model team. And so this is one of my senior models. She's a senior this year. And you can see what we did a vintage dress on her. And sugar skull mask and just let my girl create with me. I love working as a team with her and coming up with the concept. So we literally just like kind of pulled this together in a couple hours. We're just like, okay, I have this dress. So my model team gets to do these fun shoots with me, and no other clients get to do that.
That's gorgeous. That's just amazing. And I'm assuming you did all that makeup work, right?
No, my makeup artist.
Okay, good.
Are you being funny? I'm sorry.
Oh, not successfully, but I was trying.
I totally can do that. Yeah, so I have some more coming, which are really cool. We did some latex skin, what do you call them, zombies, on somebody else, which I haven't got a chance to edit yet. But yeah, this was just last week or the week before last.
That's great.
Thank you. I enjoy doing it. It's so fun.
So you talked about your senior team a little bit, or with teenagers, that kind of stuff. So in the pre-call that we had, you had talked about you do what's called like a fresh team, right? So, and that was something that you had mentioned you're most proud of. It was your most successful thing so far. So what is the fresh team?
So a couple years ago, I started my senior model team, just like a lot of senior photographers have. And I didn't really like how I was learning to do it. So I kind of took information from different industry leaders and created my own little thing. I'm pretty proud of my work, and the value of what I do, I hold very high. And so I wanted to create something that was almost like the kids could join like a team, or like if they're not into sports, or they're not into something at school, but they want to be part of something. I wanted to create that. So obviously we started that. I've been doing the senior model team for the whole time, 7 years. But a few years ago, I had an epiphany where these kids would come to me and tell me these things, and I just wasn't listening. I've grown the last couple of years in clarity and really listening to what my clients are telling me. And what I kept hearing from moms and the kids alike were, moms were like, oh my gosh, I wish I could do this. Or the sisters would come in for the sales appointment and be like, I can't wait till I can do this. And so I was like, why do you have to wait? Like, nobody needs a reason to be photographed at all. Like, sure, it's nice that we have, senior pictures and it's a rite of passage and people need to do it, but these kids crave these shoots. They want to do something fun. And so I created like a club, I guess. I've had kids sign up for my this is my 3rd year. So 3 years ago, I said, okay, let's open this up to the younger kids, see what happens. So I kind of branded it on its own, separated it so they felt like they had something of their own. It's called Fresh by JVP, or Jennifer Dworek Photography. And I recruited 9th and 10th graders onto what was just a senior model team. And that began a couple years ago. We have since incorporated destination shoots into our model program, charity work, a lot of couture shoots or concept shoots. And some of those pictures that you saw there were from our concept shoot. So yeah, I could talk a little bit more about that. I don't know if you want me to, but last year we themed, I picked out different kind of holidays or marketing images that I might need to use via Instagram. So I use my Fresh team in these concept shoots to create content and marketing via Instagram or Snapchat, mostly because that's where my teens are. So we did the National Junk Food Day is, I forget when, but we did a junk food shoot, which is the girl with the Cheetos. We did a candy shoot. So I had 4 shoots scheduled for my Fresh girls, and they came in groups of 3 to do that last year. And they just love it. They can purchase these images, but it's really more about having content all year round and showing these girls and having them talk about you all year round. And what I'm finding is having this Fresh team now this is my 3rd year, these girls keep coming back and they want more and more, and hopefully they'll continue to come back until senior year, and then they move out of town most likely. But so that's my
Talk about that, Jennifer. As far as the senior market is basically it's 1 year at a time. You get everybody who's 17 years old for that year, and that's your market base or your target base. How do you transition your fresh team, which is freshman and sophomore, into senior clients? What is your strategy for that?
So basically the way it's designed is the fresh girls don't get as much as our senior models do. So they're always feeling like, I can't wait to do that model thing where I get to do what the seniors get to do. So we just give them a taste of what it's like to be a client at our studio. Not only a client though, but actually on my team, because my team members don't, they get things that my regular clients don't get, obviously. So it's kind of like a stepping stone, right? So these girls come in and we do concept shoots, but they have to share them. They're not their own. They're not as long. We don't always do hair and makeup for them. So we just kind of tease them with it. They're like shorter shoots. Same thing with custom shoots. So if a client that wasn't on my team would call for a fresh shoot, it is a 45-minute in studio or outside my studio. I have a nice big yard and I'm kind of in an urban area, so we can go right outside. Anywhere we can walk to, we will shoot. So I don't really have to get in the car and drive around, pack up equipment. And they don't get to do those fun on location shoots until senior year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So this has been your favorite thing so far in senior portraits, but it all leads back to senior portraits. So that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. And like I mentioned to you guys earlier, is that this year I'm hoping to open this up year round and also to a younger age group. So those are my plans coming up.
Awesome. So we have a lot of senior photographers that watch the show. And is there one piece of advice you can give them when they're looking at starting a fresh team? Like, what was like your biggest failure as far as this whole thing with branching out, where you can maybe like say, hey, don't go down that path because I've been there?
Sure. So one of the things I've learned for the past 3 years of doing the fresh team is the closer they are to senior year, the harder it is at the sales appointment, because these moms and these kids feel like they love your work, they love what you do, and in the moment it's gratifying to them to have these images, to share them, to talk about you. But when it comes down to the sales appointment, they hold out. They're like, well, we're going to do this next year. So that's why this year I am kind of moving to a younger group. I don't think I'll exclude like 10th graders, but these kids change so much from 9th grade to senior year. That's a big thing that we talk to our parents about, is that, nobody's photographing these kids. I mean, other than cell phone pictures on Facebook, real beautiful, cool portraits. And it's important for them to kind of see this. So a lot of my girls that have been doing this for 3 years now, they buy albums for me every year. We encourage them to do, they get a custom shoot where they can pick whatever style they want to do. So we encourage them to do something. Maybe we do vintage or old Hollywood style or something that's going to be different from senior pictures, because they don't necessarily, not everybody wants like portraits when they're in 9th and 10th grade and then portraits again senior year. So we encourage them to do these fun shoots. So that's something that I would say to look at if you're starting a team line, is to make sure that you market it so that they can have anything they want. It doesn't have to be like senior portraits.
Okay, awesome. I got one more question, and I'm gonna let Shane wrap it up after this. You briefly mentioned albums. So this is albums like your thing you sell? Is that what you're passionate about? Is that what parents are buying on these things? Like what are they buying here?
So what I like to give my clients an option. And so we have 2 products that have a collection of images. We work with a makeup artist for all of our shoots. And we go the extra mile for our clients. So wherever they want to shoot, we make sure that happens. If we have to get permits or permission, we have to get costume. I have a couture wardrobe in studio for my clients as well, if they want to try on some cool and interesting outfits. So we put a lot of time and style into these shoots. So we want to make sure that they're going to get a variety of images, that they're not just going to go home with 1 or 2 images from these. So we do sell albums and what's called image boxes or portfolio boxes, where they can choose between one or both of them. A lot of times my clients will buy an album for maybe the kid and then mom will take the image box, but we want to make sure that they're getting a good variety of images. Somewhere between 20 and 40 images is what I typically sell to my teen and senior clients. And then they also are looking for wall portraits. So we do canvas, metals, acrylics, collection of wall portraits. So a couple small ones with a big anchor image in the middle. I would say the majority of my clients, that's what they're looking for, something to have on their walls and something to share with friends or have on the coffee table to brag about their daughters.
That's great, man. That's such an interesting strategy, and I've already adapted some of your business strategies as my own. So I don't have to say if I have to send you a cut of my profits or whatever, I have to do that. But it's so good to have you on. We appreciate it. Such a good, your work is amazing.
Yes.
But as we all know, it takes more than just beautiful work. You have to have a way to approach it. And you've definitely done a good job of capitalizing on your area. So anybody that's out there that's in a small area, Erie, Pennsylvania is not the smallest place, but it's not the largest place either. So just be encouraged, because Jennifer's definitely made it work where she is. So thanks again, Jennifer, for coming on, and just keep up the good work.
Thanks for having me, you guys. Take care.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
That was awesome.
All right. Yeah, that was great to have her on, and I knew that would be informative, because she's got such a unique approach to her business, and she's been so creative. So, but I'm excited to hear what you have to say to us today, Josh. What you got?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm going to continue the discussion I kind of started last week with the 10 pitfalls of success. And last week, I'm going to touch on them real quick. It's number 1, being paralyzed by fear, and 2, learning without action, where, just because, like, I'll just recap on this. I used to go to the library, get books, never really finished reading them. And then I would feel like that was good enough, or, go into a conference and learning something, and I would feel like, just the fact that I was learning alone would be enough, and it wasn't enough. I had to actually take action to do something. But let's move on to number 3, and it's head trash. And so head trash is something that will absolutely take you out in your business. It's something that gets in your mind of, I can't do this, or I'm not smart enough, or, it won't work in my area, or I've tried that and I'm going to give it up. That kind of stuff. So you need to take the head trash out of your head and actually just like throw it in your trash, and don't think about that. I know a lot of people, I get emails, with teaching and the stuff that I share, saying like, well, I have a 9-to-5 job, and I can't do that. That won't work for me, or even stuff like what you talked about this earlier in the show, like off-camera flash. Like, well, I don't have off-camera flash. My portraits aren't good enough. That kind of stuff. Let's take out that head trash in your business and in your mind, because all success really does start right here, before you start learning how to use off-camera flash, or before you start a fresh team and stuff like that. Like, it has to be right in your mindset that you can do it, that you are good enough, that you are motivated, you are inspired to be a success. That has to be right in your own mind before you're able to ever do anything. So, and another reason, you hear this, this is a hard truth, but if you really don't want something to work, you'll find a reason for it not to work. Like, there will always be an excuse you'll be able to come up with if it's something that you truly don't really believe in yourself. So number 4, being comfortable with a good life. Some of the most successful people I know have come to success with their backs against the wall, whether they went through bankruptcy, or they had like $12 in their bank account. They were homeless for a little while. They had to close their studio, all that kind of stuff. Excuse me. Like, I was totally sick last week after our last show, and so I'm still kind of recovering. And then I'm here in Hawaii, and the allergies decided to attack me. So, but no, being comfortable with a good life. Like, don't ever just ride at a cruising speed. Don't let that be good enough for you. Always have an action plan of moving forward with growth, and being the best you can be, and constantly learning and constantly growing. So there's a book I read a while back. It was called The Power of Being Broke. And if being broke or homeless, or if you really like, maybe you do make $100,000 a year, but to you, that's not your goal. You want to make $500,000 a year. Take a look at this book, The Power of Being Broke. And it really changes your mindset of, what temperature is your thermostat at right now in your business? Like, is $125,000 a year good enough for me? Or is $30,000 a year good enough for me? Am I able to take this to a full-time thing? Or am I able to bring in so much money that I can actually take it back from full-time to part-time and delegate a lot of these things in my business? So that's 3 and 4 for this week. I'm going to hit 5 and 6 the next week, and I got the rest of them coming soon. So that's the 10 pitfalls of success. So we're 1 through 4 right now, and hope you're enjoying this series. Thanks again, though. I think show number 2 was amazing. Shane, I don't know about you, but I'm excited for Senior Portrait Secrets Live to really take off and interview some amazing guests. So what about you?
Yeah, definitely, man. It's just, from week to week, I'm excited to bring with you, bring some fresh takes on photography, business strategies, marketing techniques, all that good stuff. It's just going to continue on next week. And we just want to thank you again, Jennifer, for being with us. Her website is jenniferdworek.com. We'll put some social media links in the YouTube comments once that's posted later on today. And you can follow her and like all of her stuff and ooh and ah over it as we have. So thank you, Josh, for that, the business tips there, and looking forward to seeing what's up next week. But for now, I guess we'll sign off. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, subscribe and comment on YouTube, and just help us out by getting the word out and help your fellow photographer brothers and sisters. So thank you for joining us today, and we will see you next time.
All right, guys. See ya.